Welcome to Off Deadline. I'm Melissa DiGianfilippo, and my guest today is Johnjay Van Es. Welcome, Johnjay.
Well, thank you.
Johnjay Van Es is an iconic radio host who has been on air for 25 years in Arizona and co-hosts the Johnjay and Rich Show, which airs Monday through Friday from 5 to 10 a.m. on KISS FM Phoenix and is syndicated nationally through Premier Networks. After starting his radio career in Cincinnati in 1996, he teamed up with Rich in 2001 in Tucson before moving to Phoenix in 2006. Beyond radio, he co-founded the Johnjay and Rich Love Up Foundation, which helps vulnerable children in foster care, and Love Pup, which he created with his wife Blake, has found homes for over 1,000 rescue dogs. I'm so excited that you're here today.
I'm so excited to be here too. Thanks.
And I appreciate you, like, you have an early morning every day and you make time for stuff like this. So.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's been a hectic day, but
You're here.
I'm very excited. Yeah.
Good. So I want to start with your backstory. Why did you choose radio as a career, and when did you get your big break?
That's a great question. I've always wanted to be in radio. I mean, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be in the radio. I was telling my son this the other day. We were moving a bunch of our furniture out of storage, and we rented a U-Haul. And I had a flashback. I remember being like I think I was in third grade, and I was moving from Roswell, New Mexico back to Chandler, Arizona. And my dad, the U-Haul didn't have a radio. And my dad's from the Netherlands, right? And he spoke 7 languages. Oh, wow. And we were driving, and I was like, there's no radio, no music, Dad. And I remember him pretending that the radio was on top of the U-Haul. And he just started doing these different voices and introducing songs and coming out and singing songs. And I remember sitting in the front seat, and I was just like, wow. And I remember that moment like it was yesterday. Yeah. But I was 8. Right. So I don't know if that's the moment where I wanted to be on the radio, but I know that after that, I started imitating DJs on the radio. Yeah. I got a cassette recorder. I interviewed my parents and my sister and my friends, stuff like that.
Oh, that's so cool. And what was the moment that you took your first job? Tell me about that.
My first on-air job?
Yeah.
My first on-air job as a radio personality was in 1996 at Q102 in Cincinnati, Ohio. I had worked behind the scenes a lot in radio. I was in promotions, I was in sales, and one of my first boss ever in paid. I was paid in radio. The first time I was ever paid, my first boss, he moved to Cincinnati, and he always thought I was funny. I didn't know that he thought I was funny, and
you never knew you were funny until he told you.
I never knew that I was funny enough to entertain people. And he called me one day and he goes, "We're looking for a new morning show in Cincinnati, and we don't want anybody that's ever been on the radio," is what he said. And he goes, "I told them about you. We're going to come out, and we're coming out to meet you. Can you meet us in LA at the Grammys?" Right? And I was in San Diego. And I was like, he goes, "Come meet us. We'll go to the Grammys Sunday night, and then you can meet the bosses." And I was like, so my boss at the time wouldn't let me go because I would have to take Monday off.
Yeah. And you're like, it's the Grammys.
Yeah. I was like, when am I ever going to go to Grammys again? So what happened was I had just got, we were engaged. I just got back from my bachelor party in New Orleans, and I had, old school pictures. And the bosses came down from LA after the Grammys on a Monday night, and they met me at this bar in Mission Beach. And I had this box of photographs, and I was showing them the pictures of the bachelor party. And these guys were laughing so hard, and I was like, well, that's good, And then about 5 days later, they called me, and they said, "We'd like to fly you in to try out, to audition for a job."
Wow.
And I got it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And you obviously didn't care that your boss didn't want you to take the day, so.
Right, but I tell you what, I learned a valuable lesson, though. So Cincinnati, they flew me down for 4 days to do 4 days of radio. And I went to my bosses, and I said, "Hey, my grandmother's really sick. She's in the hospital. I have to go." There was no internet, so I didn't think there's no way they're going to know. There's no social media. They're not going to. So I told them my grandmother was in the hospital. I flew to Cincinnati. I did 4 days. My wife and I got married. When I came back from the honeymoon, I had got the job, and then my grandmother died.
Oh, God, karma. That really sucks.
Right?
I'm so sorry. I'm sure it wasn't
a long time
you,
ago.
but
I could joke about it now.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. What's the story behind your most iconic or viral moment that maybe changed the way viewers, saw you?
I was going to answer that and really think about it, but then my wife said, "I know."
Yep.
What is it?
There's 2.
What?
There's the Rod Stewart moment and the Oprah moment.
Ooh, okay. Tell me about those.
Oh, well, so I had just started in Cincinnati. I'd only been on the air a week.
Okay.
And I've never.
How old were you?
26 or 27.
Okay.
And I had never ever interviewed anybody, but Rod Stewart was coming to town in the studio.
And this was like Rod Stewart days.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah.
And he had a new song coming out, and so I was interviewing him like you're interviewing me. We're sitting there talking, and he had a good time. He laughed, and I was like, "This is amazing." And it got written up in the paper the next day. And then the next day, he was getting on a plane, flying to Los Angeles to perform at the Billboard Awards. And he called in, like the radio, like normal hotline, and my producer picks up the phone and goes, "I think we got Rod Stewart on the phone." And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" He goes, "Hey, I'm on my way to the airport." And he goes, "I just want to tell you, I've been doing this for 30 years. And he said, that was the best interview I've ever had, is what Rod Stewart said, right? And I go, okay. I go, if that's true, Rod, I want you to sing my name in a song tonight. Because he was performing at the Billboard Awards that night.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. So, and I'll send
Oh my God.
I'll show you the video. He's at the Billboard Awards and he's singing the song. And he has my name written on his hand. And he's singing it live on TV and he's like singing the song. And you see him go like this. He goes like this. Listen to Johnjay now all the time. And I was just like, what? So the next day after that, it was psycho. It was everywhere. And then I started winning all these awards in town because now everybody was listening. What was that?
Well, yeah.
Because at the time there were only 4 TV channels, CBS,
right.
NBC, ABC, and Fox.
Yep.
And this was on Fox. Wow. So that was that time. So the Oprah time was, we were trying to have a baby, my wife and I. And we were trying everything. We couldn't get pregnant. And so we were trying, I was doing acupuncture.
Yep.
And Oprah had won a Golden Globe Award. And she got up on stage on TV and she goes, "This is amazing. I want to thank my dad, Vernon Winfrey, at his barbershop in Memphis, Tennessee. Vernon always worked hard, whatever. And I'm watching. I'm like, this is on a Sunday night. And I go, the next day, I said to Rich, I go, I'm going to look up Vernon's barbershop. I look up, I call information. There wasn't the internet just yet, that bumping. And I get the number to Vernon's barbershop. I call, no one answers. I'm a little OCD. I kept calling.
Yeah.
I kept calling.
You were determined.
On a Monday, barbershops are closed on Mondays. I didn't know that at the time. Vernon forgot something at work, was going to the barbershop to pick up something and heard the phone ringing and picked it up. I'm getting goosebumps.
Oh my gosh.
I ended up talking to Vernon, Oprah's dad, for about a half hour on our radio show. Right? So after that, I get the interview and I press it on the CD and I'm like, let me just shoot that over to Harpo Productions and see what happens. So FedEx at the Harpo. Cut to, I now have to do acupuncture to get a baby.
Yep.
And I'm in the bedroom and I said to my wife, because I was working all the time. I said, all right, Blake, I'm going to get acupuncture. I got to focus. Do not interrupt the acupuncture no matter what.
I know how this ends.
And then a half hour later, she's knocks in. I have to interrupt. What's up? Harpo Productions is on the phone, and they said Oprah's going to call you tomorrow at 7 a.m. And I was like, what? Okay, oh my God. Forget the acupuncture, oh my God.
That is crazy.
7 a.m. Oprah called. We talked for an hour.
Holy, and on air.
On air live. And then she came to Miraval, which is a resort in Tucson.
Yes.
And she called us from Miraval. She was so.
You just have this like dynamic personality that I think, and also like you're so unafraid. It seems like you didn't know.
I had no idea. I didn't know what I was doing.
You probably weren't even nervous about interviewing Rod Stewart. You just made it fun.
It was everything happened so fast, kind of like being here right now, because everything happens so fast. Today, here I am.
Yeah.
But it was like you just kind of go with it, you know.
I love that. Great stories.
Thanks. Nothing exciting has happened since then. That was 2002.
I highly doubt that. Tell me about the career gamble that had your family and friends questioning your sanity, but ultimately paid off.
I can tell my career gamble is I was in radio sales in San Diego, dating my wife. We were engaged, and I got this opportunity to go to Cincinnati to do morning radio. And everyone said, no, there's no way. It's impossible. You can't make it. There were so many people against it. Even her bosses, my wife's bosses, told her. They said, look, if you stay, let him go for 3 months. We'll give you a $5,000 bonus at the end of 3 months if you can stay.
Because they really didn't think
they said, it's so hard to break into morning radio. He's never done. And normally, when you do a morning show, you've got to go somewhere in a small town and you do midnight to 5.
Yeah, you start at the bottom.
Then you do 10 to 3. Then you do afternoons, and they might move you to another city, and then you do afternoons, and maybe it takes forever. And I went right away, and just my only job in the radio has been on morning radio. I've never done another shift before. So that would probably be the biggest gamble because I think people thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
But 3 months later, she moved to Cincinnati. I mean, she stayed. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
She
was like, okay, I'll listen.
You
But
never know. I'll stay. That's $5,000.
yeah, right. I mean, that was probably a good choice. But
She
still,
got the $5,000 and she moved to Cincinnati.
It's amazing, and to not even have fear, just get up and go and decide it's going to be a thing.
Yeah, that would probably be it.
That's great. What was the most joyful or uplifting moment that you've had on air that reminds you why you love what you do?
Oh man, that happens all the time. Just from a tiny conversation with somebody on the air that said they've grown up listening to us, to someone that's laughing, someone that's, they maybe cried with us over the course of our radio show. We've had both my parents have died. All three of my boys were born on the air. So there's been this roller coaster of emotions. But I mean, from someone saying, I'm at a red light right now and I'm laughing so hard and the people are looking at me thinking I'm crazy, or I'm at my cubicle right now and I'm crying and everyone wants to know, moments like that. To me, it's always the little things that matter to me. Big things are great too, being at a concert and people taking pictures of you, that's cool. But little things, these moments that stick with people. We really connect with our audience, which I think is very different from other radio shows.
Oh yeah, and that's why you've been so sustainable. I mean, I can't think of many examples of radio shows, morning radio shows that have had 25 years of success and multi-market. People love you guys.
Thanks. We just signed another 5 years.
I saw that.
last week.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
And how many markets are you in right now?
24, I think,
Okay.
in actual cities, but we're also on the app, the iHeart app.
Yeah,
so
that's all over.
Yeah, that's all over the country, all over the world, I think. Yeah.
I remember listening always and I don't know if you still do it today, but the Christmas Wish.
Every Christmas.
Okay. So that to me, sometimes, as a listener, you're like, did people know it was coming? Like, you can't really tell. It always feels like I get goosebumps. I get tears in my eyes. I love those stories. Are those moments all really memorable for you?
Those are very memorable for us. And also stuff that's happened to us over the years is meeting an adult that their life changed when they were 6 because they got a Christmas wish. And now I'm actually goosebumps. I know there's a guy that it's crazy. He's a little kid, and we helped him out. And now he's got this massive business. He's on Instagram with 2 million followers. He's traveling all the world with private jets, and he says he was a recipient of a Christmas wish. And
he really feels like that was a big reason for his success. That is got to be such a good feeling.
It's amazing. But also meeting, I met a nurse, an RN, and she's like, you granted my family a Christmas wish when I was 15, those type of things. We try to do everything we can, and we do it every Christmas. And then all year long, if there's a family in need, people email us, we try to do stuff. We do stuff that doesn't go on the radio, stuff that does go on the radio, it all depends.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is your most cringeworthy on-air moment that still makes you want to hide under your desk when you think about it?
I try to block those out, but we had one last Friday. And I was so bummed. Something happened at 7. I honest to God tried to block those out. But something happened
you
last
kind of
Friday.
have to, right?
Yeah, it was terrible. But see, one of the things that you have to do that I look at in radio is that people are punching in all the time, right? And people are punching out all the time. So we had this disaster. It happened at 7:30 last Friday. Okay. And if I really think about it, I'll remember what it is, but I don't want to. But I remember saying, this is terrible that just happened. And I wanted to acknowledge it after it happened, but I also thought, there's new people punching in. They don't know that I just made a horrible, horrible mistake. So let's just move forward. But it did suck the energy out of the room. It was hard to get it back. And it was a Friday.
Oh, and you can't remember what it was.
No, I got it. I know what it is. This is going to sound stupid. We started this new segment called New Music Friday, where we play out some new music. And we have a meeting before the show starts with everybody. We go over everything that's going to happen on the show.
Yeah.
In detail. Okay, you're going to have this audio ready. You're going to have this audio ready. You have these callers ready to go. We have everything set up. And there's 8 people working on the show at all times. And one person was on their honeymoon, so we were short a person.
Okay.
So we needed the new music audio, but I was told it was going to be in. And I said, at 7:30, I'm going to go to new music. So when I said we got the new music in, the new music wasn't in. And so it's 7:30, and I've got to fill till 7:41. So I had 11 minutes where I was supposed to fill, where I was going to go new music, interact. And I normally have a list of things to go to. I'm giving you some way behind the
It's okay. This is what this is for.
Okay. I normally have a list of things to go to in case something like that happens. Where let's say the new music's not there, I can go, oh, Rich, let's get into what you're talking about. Or Kyle, what was that thing you said about your son loving baseball? Like there's some, and I didn't do it that morning.
No backup plan that day.
So I was just like, what? I go, there's no music. And I go, let's go into a song. And this is all live. Rich, go into a song. Go into the song. And we just played this really slow Billie Eilish song. And it's a Friday. And I go into the song. And he goes into the exact same slow Billie Eilish song that just ran 2 minutes beforehand. And I was just like, ah. But it was all my fault. Everything like that is my fault.
Okay.
I should have been more buttoned down. It's nobody else's fault.
Well, I like that you accept responsibility. That's a mature thing to do.
Well, I do. I mean, it's my fault. It truly is. I should have been more prepared.
I also think it's a blessing to like be able to just kind of move past and forget that stuff. Like you almost couldn't remember what it was because you're just.
I try to block that stuff out all the time. I try to move on.
I think people can't understand what it feels like to be in the spotlight all the time because most people are very nervous. Mm-hmm. But it's skills like that where you're like, you just got to keep moving. Doesn't matter. No one else is thinking about you but you.
And then sometimes what I'll do is I try to listen to all my shows after the show's over, like in the afternoon. I decompress, I go on my day, and then I'll go on a drive or I'll go for a walk and I'll listen to the show again. And when I go back and listen to it, it really doesn't sound that bad. People didn't catch on.
In your head, it's worse.
In my head, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it. Someone's driving, they got the kids in the car, or they're in their cubicle listening. They don't realize that I didn't have new music ready. They don't,
Totally.
Right. So
did you check Twitter or X or whatever?
Sometimes, yeah, and then I get DM. I get a DM. What the hell was that? So I try to make myself feel better.
Good. I like it. Smart strategy. Yeah. What's the most creative or outrageous thing that you've done behind the scenes to save a show or segment from disaster? I mean, that was kind of one of them, but.
Oh, I've got one that I'll tell you. I'll tell you one, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. How about that?
Yes, you're giving me all the dirt. Thank you.
So we do hits on TV a lot. Like we'll be on Channel 3 or we'll be on Fox, right? Yep. Different TV stations depends on what year it was. And we were doing a thing. It was the beginning of fall, right? So first day of fall. So you got the leaves are changing, and so we thought it'd be fun to have a leaf blower at the radio station. And go into there. We have 8 different radio stations on with us, so we thought it'd be fun to go in and just kind of blow the papers off the desk. It's the first day of fall. We're gonna do it live on the air. Okay. And I had my producer on it, and we had a camera on the leaf blower. We had a camera on him, and then he was in it. But the phone kept cutting out, right? So I was like, you know what? I go, and there was another radio show in the building. I don't want to say who they are. I don't even think they might not even be on the air anymore. And I said, they're gonna go do a hit right now on Fox 10. I go, when I cue you, I want you to kick the door open when they're live on TV and hit the air blower, the leaf blower. And that's what happened. And it was papers everywhere and coffee everywhere. And the news anchors in the TV station were laughing because it was live on TV.
Yes.
But then the DJs.
Were in there. Yeah.
And they weren't happy. And they complained and they were like, you better not post that video, but it was live on TV. But you can't. And when they went all the way to corporate, and all of a sudden the attorneys got him. Like I'm like, lighten up. Like so, I got told I can never play it, although I have it and I could show you on my phone. I have it saved because it's so damn funny. And one day, when the moment, I mean, I just signed a new 5-year deal. Maybe when I have 3 months left or my 1 month, I'm posting that baby because it was gold. And I have the footage of it happening live on TV. Yeah. But then the footage from the leaf blower is gold too. You know what I mean? Because the camera was right on.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. You can like make a whole compilation. It would totally go viral.
But it was lots and lots of meetings after that one.
Oh, well, sometimes those bad decisions are so worth it.
Yeah, I think in the long run, at some point, it'll pay off. I might get in trouble for talking about it here.
We'll see. I mean, that means people are listening and watching, so that's okay. Okay, what's one thing about your personality that doesn't come across on air but defines who you really are?
Whoa. Wow. I try to be as authentic as I can on the radio, and I feel a lot of times that if you listen to the radio show, I think what you see is what you get. So I don't. I think I'm a little bit more emotional. I try when I talk about my wife and kids a lot. I can tear up a lot. So I've tried to stop myself from that on the radio. But I think it's good that I've stopped myself, and I get mad at myself for stopping myself because it's embarrassing to cry in front of my coworkers. So I've only done it a few times. So I try to pull back sometimes. But I think that's it. But I think on the radio, what you see is what you get. I don't think I'm any different. Am I right?
You're right.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
And from the few times I've met you, it seems like you're really genuine, and even brand stuff you do, and like every interaction. So
I try all the brand stuff I do. I try to make it as legit as possible. Yeah. I don't want to. I just did this weird, bizarre thing the other day where I took all my blood out of my body.
Oh God, I've heard about that, but that's creepy.
Right, it was really creepy.
And then they like spin it around and pop it back in.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
I did it 2 days ago, and I've been telling people about it, and I'm like, no, I'm not getting paid for this. I go, it's supposed to be really good for you. I go, I'm just letting you know, like, So, in fact, when I leave here, I'm going to go speak at a seminar, and that's one of the things I'm going to bring up because I would think it's so good for you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Called?
It's called plasma transfer exchange.
Yeah.
TPE.
Okay, interesting. Okay, we're into rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay, so this means I'm asking you 5 questions. Say the first thing that comes to mind. If there's a little story, go ahead and tell me that too. Okay? What's the wildest rumor you've ever heard about yourself?
I almost want to say no comment. I heard that I bought a bunch of people furniture.
Okay.
And I was like, my wife runs all the credit cards, and I bought a bunch of men furniture.
Why would that be?
It was the weirdest thing, and I was like, I've never done that. That's not true.
Okay. What's the most outrageous celebrity behavior you've witnessed that never made it on air?
There was a comedian, a very, very, very famous comedian, got into a fight with Rich in the studio verbally, and it was starting to get really ugly, and the comedian had to be removed.
What? Why would someone fight with Rich? Let's just talk about that.
It was wild. Because, you know what? It was because the guy wasn't doing his material. And a lot of comedians come on radio shows and they just want to be interviewed about their life. Well, we want you to do comedy. Do your stand-up. Do at least bits and pieces of it. Yeah,
like get people excited to come to your show.
Right, right. And so it got really ugly. And then now the comedian, since has passed.
Oh, wow.
I know, but it was really uncomfortable.
Jeez.
And that comedian, by the way, would have killed Rich.
Oh, really? And Rich didn't care.
Well, they removed the guy out before he could kill Rich.
Gosh, okay. What's the weirdest thing you've ever expensed for the job?
What? The Suns tickets, stem cells. Have we used it? Or tried to?
They got denied.
Sports car. Oh God! I mean,
Costumes.
No, because most costumes come. They send them to us when we need a costume. Back when Easley's was around. Remember Easley's?
Oh, yeah. I missed that place.
Yeah, so
Where do we get costumes now? Amazon.
I know.
That's the only option.
I know. Easley's was legit.
I know.
But, man, okay. I'm just trying to think of things I've tried to expense.
It's okay. I mean, you named a couple that you've tried.
Yeah, I tried that it worked. Yeah. I don't know. Pumpkins, chainsaws, alcohol. I don't think we bought sex toys. Dog shock collar is a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because we do trivia, and if you wear a dog shock collar, if you get it wrong, we shock you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was tough. We can't do it anymore.
Oh,
we did it. We did it, yeah.
Okay. What's the most bizarre place you've ever done a broadcast from?
I lived in Houston, too, so I went from Cincinnati to Houston. And when I was in Houston, in Galveston, there's a aquarium called Moody Gardens, and they have like 100,000-gallon tank with lots of fish, and they had 9 tiger sharks. And they spent a lot of money in the radio station, and they asked me to get certified scuba, and if I would do my show underwater, and I did. And I have the video of that too. And I'm underwater, and I had 2 security guards with PVC pipes that pushed the sharks away from me. So I had this huge glass aquarium, and there was an audience, and I was underwater with a mask. I'll be talking, and there was a microphone in this mask, and I'm underwater, so I'd be like doing my show, looking at the audience, and then here, there's 2 guys. And the sharks would come and he'd push the sharks away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was insane. It was literally insane.
I would be so afraid to be underwater for that long and having to talk and breathe. That would really freak me out.
It was terrible. You know, every morning I try. Lately I've been jumping in my pool in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's dark. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I always think a shark's going to get me in my pool. And I think it has to do with Jaws and do with that broadcast.
Jaws is has a huge anniversary right now.
Yeah, it does. It's huge, 50 years.
Oh, crazy. Okay, last question. What's the craziest thing a listener has ever done to get your attention?
We've had listeners tattoo our logo on them. We had a guy show up and paint our faces on his car, and then he wore a diaper, and he showed up at the radio station in a diaper, and we've had a lot of weird things like that. Oh, we've had people come to our house. That's not good. We've had people come to our son's basketball games. To get our attention. What else? Any other thing?
That's crazy.
Tell Matt's story.
Matt. Oh, Matt Peterson. Oh, that's a great story.
Ooh, who's Matt Peterson?
Oh, Matt Peterson's a good. So Matt, well, he didn't really want my attention. So Miley Cyrus was in our studio.
Yeah.
And Matt was a 13-year-old kid, and he wanted to meet Miley. And there was like 1,000 people in the parking lot. We're on the 4th floor. When you look outside, just a sea of people to see Miley in the parking lot at the radio station. And this kid had a "I love Miley" sign. And I said, let's bring him up.
Yeah.
So we brought Matt up, and he met Miley. And since then, Matt has blown up to be one of the biggest influencers on social media, and he always tells that story. Do you guys know who he is? Have you seen him? Look him up, Matt Peterson. You know what I'm talking about? So then he asked Miley to prom. He climbed on top of Camelback and asked Miley
I remember
prom.
this.
And then Miley took him to prom. Now he's literally living in New York City. He makes a crap ton of money. He was hanging out with Miley the other day. He's like 25 years old. He is in great shape. He's going to be a massive, massive star. And he gives us credit for it. That's what I like. Because if he didn't, I bust his balls when he doesn't give us credit.
Yeah, you decide. You were like, come up here, kid.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
It's such a great story.
There's got to be so many people you've done that for, like more than you even have been.
That'd be
aware
cool.
Of.
Yeah, I think I like our show success tree. Like people have come from our show and gone on. Like I have a friend that does a huge country show in Dallas, and another guy does a show in Cleveland. Another guy does a show in Cincinnati. Another guy does a show in Seattle, and they all came from our. Another guy from our show runs all of iHeart social media. That's pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I like that angle too. But listeners' success tree is cool too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I so appreciate you making the time today, Johnjay.
It was fun.
You.
Thanks. Yeah, that was fun. Thank you.